Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews. I'm joined with Kathy of Cinema Podcast and Amit of D54 Podcast. And we're going to talk about the Vijay Sethupathi film, Maharaja. Now, this film was his 50th film. And so for a long time, it was just VJS 50. I saw it on opening day when it was in theaters. It is now playing on streaming on Netflix and is gaining a new audience. But within the Tamil audience in India, I think it was the third highest grossing Tamil film of the year, which is pretty great. Wow. So, I mean, it is super violent, not one to bring your 3-year-old, please, God. Anurag Kashyap is the main antagonist, and the director was new to me for this film. Nithilan Swaminathan was the director of the film. So, and I believe this was only his second film. So, anyway, Amit, right before we started recording, posed a question. Go ahead, Amit.
What's the question?
So, I think this might be the first Vijay Sethupathi movie I think I've seen. I honestly can't remember having seen too many others.
Wow, okay.
I'm trying to think. Like, he hasn't appeared in any Malayalam movies that I know of, so I don't think I've seen him there. And for Tamil movies,
actually, he has, but I'm blanking on the title of it. But people will tell in comments. There was one.
We'd love to. We'd love to know what Malayalam movie he featured in, because I would probably check that one out. But yeah, no, I don't think I've seen him in any other Tamil movies. So I guess my question to you guys in the audience is, what is the appeal of Vijay Sethupathi?
And I think for me, it is a cumulative thing. Okay, I did see one of his early films, Pizza, which was one of his breakout roles. It's a horror film, and he is basically on screen for most of the film. It was awesome, and that he's just a really good actor. Okay, and he can go from teddy bear to supreme menace on the turn of a dime. And the first movie that I saw in the theater of him was Vikram Vedha with Madhavan. And, you start out thinking he's the villain. And then over the course, Madhavan is wearing white. He's wearing black. And then by the end of the film, they're both wearing gray. And you realize they're shades of gray and that he was a devoted brother and blah, blah. Like there's this whole thing. And he was his screen presence in that film was so amazing. And then there's this film called 96. Where he plays this photographer who goes to his high school reunion, class of 96, and he had such a crush on one classmate that when she touches him, he passes out. He faints because he is so affected by her. He is such a puppy dog in this. You cannot even imagine. And so to go from this film where he's chopping off people's arms with machetes to my memories of 96, it's all wrapped up together. I can't even, but I will just tell you, he's one of the finest actors in Tamil cinema and any Indian cinema. So,
and the first one I saw him in, which was very different, was Super Deluxe. So I didn't know who he was, who she was. So that was
he plays a trans woman in Super Deluxe, and it's amazing.
So good. She was. I keep calling her she now. He was so great in that because he brought so much emotion. It wasn't campy at all. Like that was the key, is that they didn't camp it up, and so. I really appreciated that. And then when I saw him at other stuff, I'm like, that's the same guy? Like, that's why I saw Vikram Vedha, same thing. Like, saw those and Pizza, same. I was kind of going down the same, the classics of his movies.
Well, I was guiding.
So then I'm keeping an eye out. You were guiding. In 96, I found him rather annoying, honestly, because I'm like, dude, seriously, get a grip. Like, it just didn't seem like the way an adult would act. So I was kind of annoyed by it. But that's just me. But same thing. I love how you can go from teddy bear, like just so cuddly and teddy bear, like Merry Christmas, and then can be like this, believable all the way. And he was both things in this movie. I thought teddy bear and formidable foe. So that was kind of
God, the way his teenage daughter bullied him in this, I ate up every moment of those.
He was so afraid of her. I know, it was so cute.
So
and he seemed very scared when he got her the wrong color shoes. He seemed terrified. And I would have been too, because don't mess with the girl's shoes, I'm telling you.
So we should say this film, Maharaja, I knew it was going to be violent, but oh my God, right? And like you have this slow, it also is non-linear. So it takes a kind of a little while to figure out what time period am I in? What is happening? And especially when certain crime scenes are happening, you're not quite sure, is this, future, past, whatever. I thought Anurag Kashyap was an excellent villain. He just has resting villain. He has a resting villain face. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's probably a delightful man, but he just has resting villain face. And okay, we're just going to say this is going to be a discussion full of spoilers. I already have as spoiler-free review as I could do it on the day that the movie came out, because I didn't want to spoil anything. But this one, we're no holds barred. We're going to get into it. Like, I mean, it was this slow burn of him being this guy trying to report a crime, looking all confused in the police station. I loved how there was a visual representation of how he was not going to let this go. Like, he literally holds on to the wall of the police station or column until everything starts to collapse, because he's just like, I'm not letting this go. And then it's not until right before the interval point that he completely loses it, and oh my God, it's spectacular fashion. Like,
big time. Oh, man. I know, shockingly. It's true. I wasn't sure.
Bloodthirsty Mel with the machetes. I'm like,
with machetes. I know. Well, I thought the holding on to stuff was a little confusing. Like, is he a superhero? Like, I didn't quite understand what that was about, because he did it a few times, and I'm like, why is this a thing? Like, what? It was weird. That was the only part I was like, okay, but I guess it was sort of metaphorical also. But it was kind of funny. He did that all the time. Like, dude, if you can do that, you could do so much.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you've seen a lot of Vijay Sethupathi, you're just like, okay, he's holding it in. Like, he has the ability to lay down everybody in this police station.
But he's tear down something with his bare hands. I know, exactly.
I think part of the point of that is, like, when he does that, one of my commenters on my no spoiler review said that's what reveals the snake in the police station. So that is supposed to be kind of a hint that, there's more. I mean, like, we wouldn't guess that in any Indian film about that there's corruption in the police station. Okay.
I was gonna say, that's anyone's in doubt. There might be,
right? But
that's true. Very strange.
So I know you were having a hard time, especially the daughter you saw it was so brutal that you had a hard time.
Yeah, no, it was pretty confronting. So the two parts, like, I didn't, as you said, expect that level of violence. I mean, there was one particular scene with the machete where we just see a headless guy on a motorbike. Spoilers.
Awesome.
Yeah,
but that one wasn't that shocking. I was like, okay, wow,
kind of cartoony.
This is pretty, extreme. But when they really went for the disturbing scene with the daughter, it wasn't just once. They doubled, tripled down. Like, he was like, "Can I go again?" I'm like, "Dude, are you serious?" Like, that part got me a little bit sick in my stomach. I was a bit queasy after sort of.
It is a bit much.
That. I was like, "Oh, that's really pushing it." Yeah. The other part that got me, that was a bit frustrating for me, was that it was a slow burn, and it was a little bit, I think, as you mentioned when we were talking offline, Kathy, a little bit repetitive in its nature. Like, I was really waiting for it to, get us to the point, and I almost honestly gave up on it. Like, I was like, all right, this is getting a bit too much for me to watch. But persisting through, and I was happy to persist through, because the end definitely made it worthwhile. Because I think the last half an hour or 40 minutes or however long it is, when they start doing the whole time travel or the showing us, I guess, the non-linear pattern more and more, then I started to be like, oh wait, hold on a second, this is not the same. This is not from the same time period, because he looks slightly different. Like, he's in the barbershop and he's a bit younger, and he's gone back to being older, and the mysteries unveiled a little bit more and more. I feel like the slow burn starts off all the way through, and then 3/4 of the movie, it's just like, whoa. It's just like, all right, let's reveal it. And I actually enjoyed that part. The last half an hour, last 40 minutes was just like really good. I thought it made up for everything.
It was an interesting misdirect.
I was going to say, it's part of the problem of Indian films feeling like they have to be 2.5 hours. Because your point of it feeling repetitive, like, if there was tighter edit, if it was only 2 hours and we'd had that great half hour, it would have been even be stronger. But go ahead, Kathy. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's a good point too. Is that I feel like we saw that him sitting around the police station a lot, and it didn't really further the plot a lot. And I'm like, why did they keep showing this over and over? Like people seeing him from different perspectives, but nothing really changed the story. But I get that they were trying to show you the perspectives of everyone in there, how they saw him and how he saw them, but at the same time, I think that was sort of a contrivance of how they decided to do the multiple timelines instead of a linear story, which ultimately made it probably more effective, but also a little confusing and repetitive. But what I was going to say is it was an interesting misdirect because it opens with that terrible bus crash into the like he's off getting a toy and he looks over at his daughter and his wife and you see this terrible accident and so from then on I'm like, oh, it's probably some kind of revenge thing. Okay, I get it.
Right.
And then you realize, oh, the daughter survived. Okay, everything, I guess the wife did, and they sort of don't go too deep into it. You just leave it up to the audience. But that, to me, was an interesting misdirect, knowing what we know as we get into the movie. Yeah. I did not see that coming. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't see that coming. They started going, I just didn't expect it.
No,
there was a lot of misdirection.
I did really like how the last scene is the first scene, and it's just like, whoa, okay, this is really tied together really well all the way through. So I was really impressed by that. I thought, how they sort of tied it all together, and the climax ending with just the reveal of it's not even his daughter, and looking back on it, being like, so Vijay Sethupathi was beating up his daughter and getting her. You
mean Anurag Kashyap?
Anurag.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Anurag's daughter was essentially he was beating her up and then putting her through like torture. So he's just screaming at the end.
I love when he realizes what he did. It's like, oh
like a worst nightmare, right? The only thing he has left in his life, and he just
so terrible.
I mean that's the thing. He was a great villain, but then I felt like those scenes when he was begging for his life, and then when he realizes who she was, and he's just destroyed. Like he was so good at portraying that. It was devastating. Wow. I was really impressed.
And I like that they had the daughter have her moment. Like it wasn't just like Vijay Sethupathi takes him up, ties him up, tortures him, keeps the daughter safe. It's like she wanted to come in and she was limping and all and cast, I want to talk to him alone, and you're thinking this is nuts. But at the same time, I love they had that little moment. Because she really, and I don't think she even knew that time how terrible it was, because I don't think I ever revealed to her who he was. So when he figures it out, it's like, what? Like double whammy.
Right.
The impact,
so intense.
The impact she has on him is worse than the impact that Vijay Sethupathi had, because he was more physical in that he attacked him, and there was a big duel between them two. But then her just coming in slowly and him just realizing, wow, my daughter's like this now, and she's damaged, and seeing her crippled, it's like, whoa, this is bad.
Well, I just well, and I have to give kudos to the scriptwriter and the director, because how many revenge things have we seen, like we said, where a father, a brother, a boyfriend, husband, whatever, goes off and avenges what happened to his sister, his daughter, whatever. Okay. And here to have a moment where he just traps him so that his daughter can confront, like that was really, it felt fresh, and it felt like, okay. Like, I mean, like it was, I kudos to them for including that scene, because like you said, it was even more devastating. It just was like, wow.
Yeah, that was one of the most important scenes. It was really good. I guess the other part that I struggled with a little bit was, I don't even know if this movie needed that comedy. Like there was a few comedy scenes there, which we talked about, like at the start, and him just at the police station, telling the same joke over and over again. I was like, that's sort of the part I was like, okay, I've seen it once, and I was like, let's move on.
Okay, that I'm blanking on the title of it, but he had his other breakout movie when he was young actor, same year as Pizza, was this film where he had short-term memory lost. And he could only remember for like 15 minutes. And then he would say, Enache, like, what happened? And so basically, I think it was a little bit too much of a riff on that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's his 50th film, I think they were kind of harkening back to that a little bit. But you're right. It was it was also kind of a misdirect because those were some of the scenes that they included in the trailer. right? Like we're seeing this guy,
Yeah.
we're seeing the bandage on his head, so we're thinking, oh my god, like he's brain damaged or something happened to him and he doesn't know what's going on, right? So
honestly,
it was a
2 hours. The movie was 2 hours 20 minutes. If they cut that down by 20 minutes or 25 minutes, then this would be a nice tight script, and it would have been like, whoa, straight to it. And I think you would have been probably on the edge of your seat for most of it, I think.
right.
Where I felt like it dragged a little bit. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, it was a little bit frustrating there. But like, I guess Tamil cinema does sometimes do this thing that you mentioned about referencing older movies and referencing past. I've seen that much more than compared to Malayalam cinema or Hollywood. It's very rarely done in those two industries that I mostly watch. So, yep, that could be something there too.
Yeah,
I think there is references in Malayalam cinema, and I'm just not getting them. Like I think they do.
Maybe there is, me too.
There probably is.
Riff. I mean, like there could be like a song playing on the radio or something in a scene,
That's true.
and I'll be in a theater and people will laugh, and I'll be like,
"That's true, yeah."
Something
on the TV
from some '80s movie or something, right? So,
correct.
But I think I'm just not getting any of those. But yeah, I agree that Tamil cinema especially does seem to reference back to older films, and I think especially because this was a 50th year movie, they were hearkening back a little bit, or kind of riffing on his character, and I'm sorry, the viewers are going to be yelling at me, but I'm like, you know what, you know the movie I'm talking about. And that's it. Like he just kind of, and the crazy thing is that movie is based, the cinematographer of the film, it really happened to him. Like he was supposed to get married, he had this accident, and he had this short. It went away, but he had this short-term, like, and his friends kind of guided him through, and he got through the marriage ceremony, like, and they, kept him from his bride and whatever. Like, so it was based on a real thing that happened. That's the even crazier part of it.
Funny.
So anyway, I don't know if this is, if you're talking about somebody having a 50th film. I really had a good time. I don't know that this is his most masterful performance ever, but I sure had a good time at the movie, seeing this movie. And I know that the scenes of the rape, yes, I agree, were really awful. But in one way, I feel like there's so many Indian films where the violence is cartoonish, and we just can kind of laugh it off, like you say, the headless motorcycle guy or whatever. And I felt like the filmmaker made us really sit in that moment and feel that girl's pain, and feel how horrible this was, and how cruel, and it was so cruel and callous, like you're saying. I mean, it wasn't even just that it happened or that she was beaten, but that they were just kind of joking, well, why don't we do it again or whatever, so I felt like it was very uncomfortable, and I think it was for a reason, and maybe it's
definitely.
But it didn't make it any easier for us as an audience to sit through that. So it was.
It's also strange too, because of how it was structured, and we didn't know who he was, and so when he starts killing people in really violent ways, we didn't really know who was the bad guy in that moment. We're just seeing him. I mean, we assume he's a good guy because we like him, but I thought that was an interesting take, because here he is doing really brutal stuff to these guys, and I'm like, what'd they do? Like, they don't really let you enjoy the moment, because you're like, is he a little over the top? Like, should he just call the cops? So then you find out why he can't call the cops. But it was a little, like, took a little of the fun out of it, because you couldn't feel the revenge story just yet, because we weren't quite sure. But then when they kind of come full circle and start explaining it, you're like, oh God, he so deserved to get his head cut off.
but on the other hand, I'm just like, I enjoy Vijay Sethupathi as a villain too, so I would have been completely on that ride as well.
Yeah, you weren't sure. He could go either way.
It could go either way, and I'd be enjoying the ride either way.
I mean, if it was like, somebody like Tom Cruise, he's not going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
So,
right. But BJ, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
I know. But you're with him. Like, whatever it is, you're with him.
Yeah.
Like, he's that kind of actor. Like, he just draws you in. You want to be sympathetic. He has those amazing doe eyes. You're just like, okay, we're with you, VJ, whatever you decide. I'm sure you have a good reason.
You want to have a whole game? Okay, you're the game leader, whatever. I'm with you. I'm with you.
You needed that machete to do that job. I get it.
I get it. So funny. Anyway, well, so I definitely, since it's on Netflix, Again, don't sit down with your kids, but definitely this is one that I feel is one not to miss. Maybe if you have, trigger warning, if you have difficulty watching scenes of sexual violence, then the nice thing is at home you can fast forward through some of that really horrible stuff. And
it's really obvious when it's coming, so you can fast forward.
Right. So, which is something, that's the problem is like if you were recommending someone to see it in the theater, you can't do that. You're just stuck, in that moment. So, anyway, I'm always ready to see what Vijay Sethupathi is going to do next.
Always. Did we answer your question, Amit, about why Vijay Sethupathi is?
I don't think he's completely convinced. I think he needs to see.
No. I mean,
see a few more.
Yeah, it feels like once you sort of watch him, you sort of get accustomed to his style of acting, which is new to me. So as a first experience, the first thing that I noticed was, I think you mentioned it. He has a certain presence to him. Like that's one thing he definitely has. Like that screen presence is there. That sort of the aura he has when he sort of enters the screen. Good guy, villain. Seems like he's very versatile, which is one of his main strengths, which I wouldn't get to see in one movie. Like seeing him do some of those more movies, like, oh, wow, this guy can actually do quite a bit. So I'm definitely a fan. I'll be keen to check out more of his movies.
I mean, I'm also just thankful. I mean, you need to see Super Deluxe because it also has Fahad Fazil. Okay.
Yes, I know. I've heard about it.
It's an anthology.
In the most fun storyline of all time.
Oh my god. Completely bonkers, so good. Crazy. Yeah.
Such a good movie.
With Telugu actress Samantha Prabhu plays his wife, and it's just completely.
They were fantastic.
So a real pan-Indian movie.
Yeah.
It's a Tamil film, but it was one of the first ones that Fahad Fazil acted in Tamil. But it did draw in some people from different industries. Like I said, Samantha Prabhu is normally in the Telugu industry. Yeah. So highly, I think you would really, because that one is just completely bonkers. Wild.
Wait till you see that ending. It's fun because it's like 3 storylines. It's almost like a short, like a book full of short stories. So it's 3 storylines. So you get 3 complete stories in the movie, and then this weird ending. Like, let me know what you think of it.
Definitely not. That's been added to my list.
You have to see it.
All right. Thanks, Kathy and Amit, for joining me for this review. You have to subscribe to all of our channels because we're doing things on each other's channels and collaborating on trailer reactions, song reactions, and film reviews and all the places. So catch Kathy on Cinemando Podcast and Amit at D54 Pod is the name of his channel. So, and of course, here at Pardesi Reviews. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.